Hey guys, it's Matt here, and today I'm doing the second Matt Rants of the day. Unless, of course, you're not watching these in order, in which case, I'm doing a Matt Rants today. Disregard what I just said. What I would like to mention, though, is I am recording near a window. Sometimes that's just what happens. I live in New York City, baby, so you're going to hear a lot of cars going by, ambulances, things like that. I'm going to try and edit as much as I can out, maybe edit out some of my screaming and cursing, but, you know, if it gets in, it gets in. So, today we're talking about something that I don't think is controversial, but my take on it might be controversial, so stay tuned for some of that. But we're talking about the Nintendo Creators Program helped people, or maybe didn't help people in some cases, in some people's cases, monetize their videos on YouTube, specifically Nintendo videos. Yes, there was a whitelist, so there was a list of games that you could and could not choose from. Smash was not on that list, assuming multiple Smashes were not on that list, assuming because they were taking characters rather from different games, different IPs. Donkey Kong Country was not on that list either, sadly. Love that game. Other Donkey Kong games were, but not Country in particular, 1, 2, or 3. Also, Pokemon games were not on there, and I believe, if I remember correctly, Kirby games were not on there either. A bunch of other games were throughout the years. They had games listed from the NES and Famicom all the way up to the Wii U. But again, there were certain games, some games that people really were upset about. In my opinion, yes, Pokemon games, even though, yes, that's Game Freak, would have been nice if those were on there. But still, people, in my opinion, people were able to make do. But either way, it has been ended. Nintendo talked about that on Twitter, and they gave a statement. And what I'm asking is, usually for Matt Rants, we ask questions. I'm asking if this is a good idea or not. Now, I did give you guys info on some of the stuff leading up to this, but let me talk about Nintendo's their actual statement on the matter, and then I'll give my opinion and my experience with the Nintendo Creators Program. Some good, some bad. Anywho, so let's talk about their statement right now. Actually, before I quote it in full, I want to mention that the link to this will be in the description box down below if you're watching this through our YouTube channel. Both this, the Polygon article, and the Twitter link. Okay, so I can pronounce article. Anyway, moving forward, the article, I can pronounce it twice this time, on the official Nintendo news page for the Creators Program, talks about, it says, the title of it is End of the Nintendo Creators Program and information about new guidelines. So then they go on to elaborate. They say, we are ending the Nintendo Creators Program, the NCP, to make it easier for content creators to make and monetize videos that contain Nintendo game content. We will no longer ask creators to submit their videos to the NCP, and creators can continue showing their passion for Nintendo by following Nintendo's guidelines, located at a very long link. They posted a very long link. And they go on to say that the NCP will come to a close at the end of December 2018. Please note that we are no longer accepting videos and channels and will not review any that have been submitted but not yet registered. The NCP website will be taken down on March 20th, 2019. We appreciate and encourage the continued support of content creators and thank them for their dedication to helping us create smiles. Nintendo Co. Ltd. So after all that, you might be saying to me, hey Matt, we hate you. Why do you support this in any way? And you're saying it extremely rationally, just like that. So calm and collected. You're saying that, and I say to you, look, I understand that if you were a bigger YouTuber who was getting 100% of the profits from either Let's Plays or reviews or things like that from Nintendo games before they enacted this policy, I understand where you're coming from. I get it. Having to share 60% or 70%, that is a 40 to 30% hit, especially if you were making good money, more money than I'm making and many other people on the platform are making, but you're not making what I like to call FU money. You're not PewDiePie. You're not Markiplier. You're not really, really high up there. You're, as some call it, the YouTube middle class. If you're there and you took that 30 to 40% hit, I hear where you're coming from. However, as someone who, and this is coming from my perspective, someone who doesn't make anything off of YouTube, when the monetization rules were different, even though our channel didn't have 1,000 subscribers or 4,000 hours of watch time, still I wasn't making $100 a month. However, if people looked more at our Nintendo videos or the videos that I claimed with the Nintendo content creator program more than other videos that I did on the channel, I would still be getting a check from Nintendo. And I've gotten multiple checks from Nintendo. Now you're going to tell me, Matt, were you able to make a living off that? Hell no. If I was, then I would have actually been getting checks from YouTube as well. So yes, I fully admit and I fully understand that me making, in some cases, pennies, in some cases, dollars, a total, I believe, of like $5 through the Nintendo Creators Program. I totally understand why you, someone who is making hundreds or thousands of dollars and who got that cut, are looking at me like, Matt, you were making pennies. Like, why are you going? And I'm not trying to say that just because I was making pennies, oh, my pennies are worth more than your hundreds or your thousands. I get it, right? Money is money. At the end of the day, you were losing money and you weren't losing money before. The reason why I'm saying I'm trying to give this other side to it is because not only was it a good motivator for me in general, not only did it feel like Nintendo had my back when YouTube didn't, where YouTube potentially could have given me a few bucks here and there every month or every few months, but they weren't, yet somehow Nintendo was. When for a bit, when YouTube took away my monetization privileges, Nintendo was there and actually sending me some money every once in a while. I don't know if that was, I assume that was part of the rules. I don't know if it was like a little tiny, just like, it's okay, you can take the pennies, don't worry, don't let big YouTube get you down. But seriously though, all jokes aside, it's not only that it felt nice, but to me, it was a good look on Nintendo's part. Now you could say, but Nintendo has been and was draconian because if you didn't go with their program, then they would actually flag your videos anyway. And again, I get where you're coming from, but the thing is, while I disagree with those practices, Nintendo has the right to do it legally. Now, is it the right thing to do? I disagree. I don't think it's the right thing to do, but legally they do have the right to do that. So, while they shouldn't do it, legally they can. So if they're going to do it, because the thing, too, is, until they made this statement, my thought was, oh, it's ending, so we're going back to draconian practices. Now that I know that they're saying this, at the same time, I just felt as if with a system in place, with the NCP in place, it felt like it could be built upon. So if you didn't like it at first, maybe our voices could be heard and it could be changed for the better, instead of removing it completely, and now we're going on Nintendo's word. And I'm not saying that their word can't be considered bond, but I am saying at the same time, as much as I do love their products, they are a corporation. And at the end of the day, yes, you could say that, hey, making the NCP doesn't mean that their word is bond either way. Fair point, fair argument to make. But I feel as if, again, with that in place, they are bound to those rules rather than being bound to these rules, which are, hey, if you're making it and if you make it a transformative work in some way or another, then you're good. But what constitutes a transformative work? At least and you might be saying, well, Matt, when you had the NCP, you couldn't give them, videos with swears or anything like that. And that's just not true. We swore in our videos and those were still allowed just fine. Oh, you can't give them videos of mods. To be fair, I did not send them videos of mods. I probably should have to test it out. But it didn't seem as if there was a video that we did. It wasn't a mod, but I believe it might have been a different translation, and they took it. Where it was a Japanese game, but it was an English translation of it, and they took it. I can't remember the one off the top of my head, so take that with a grain of salt, because we've done a lot of different games on here, but I'm pretty sure they've taken games that even I kind of raised an eyebrow. I was like, okay. So, you might say, oh, but they won't take emulation. Well, if you have the window for the emulator in the playthrough, sure, yeah, they're not going to take that. But if you are someone who edits that out and things like that, then they won't know that it's emulation. Like, they're not going to cross-examine it with with real game footage to see if it's emulation or not. They're just going to see if you meet their guidelines. Which, yes, they still... The thing, too, is that now I feel like it's a bit less transparent, where I don't know what their guidelines are for transformative work. Yes, you could imagine if they, if you add a voiceover or something like that, then you can just monetize it easy squeezy, lemon peasy, but I still don't know if that's the case, and that's the issue with these new rules. It feels like it's now brand new territory, and you have a bunch of people saying, great, awesome, the old, the witch is dead, right? The system has fallen, that's amazing. But the issue is, I'd rather deal with the enemy I know than the enemy I don't know. And I'm a little nervous about where we can go from here. Now, one thing I want to mention on the side of people who were against this, and I'm with you guys 100% on this, for anyone streaming things, Nintendo was anti-streaming. Probably because they can't actually, while it's airing, while the stream is going, they don't know what's being said, so they can't They would monetize it after, perhaps, but you can't monetize it on a live stream. And they were trying to ban people from doing streams or said, hey, you can't stream this game, etc., even though these were games that were on the whitelist. In that case, that's terrible. For all you guys who are live streamers out there, and I'm even trying to get on Twitch myself, that's the worst that I think for you guys out there. I understand 100% why you are happy that this system is over and done with. But for those that recorded, who did pre-recorded content on YouTube, especially those smaller creators, I would hope that down below, if you guys can, give yourselves a shout out and just say if you've gotten money from the creators program like I did. We're not ending the video just yet, but I'm only curious about what some of you guys have to say, is because maybe I was just this huge anomaly and there really weren't that many people getting a few bucks here and there, and it was more so larger YouTubers losing large chunks of money, which I do feel sympathetic towards. Yes, they're larger YouTubers. Yes, they're part of, or at least closer to the 1% of YouTube, but that still is money being thrown out that, they probably are sitting there like, well, we swear a lot and we have a lot of different cuts to other games in our videos too. Can we really monetize this with Nintendo's creators program if it doesn't meet their guidelines? Let's say there's, Sonic's in the video or something like that. Would that mesh well with their program? And sadly, it definitely wouldn't, because there's other IPs in there as well. Famously, Jim Sterling, not just for Nintendo, but other companies as well, tried to throw them off, throw them, kind of pit them against each other, kind of Godzilla, King Kong, Ghidorah, Mothra style, by putting multiple clips of games in one video and saying, all of you guys deal with this, deal with this garbage. And so, again, when it comes to the problems, I get where you guys are coming from. I just want to make sure that we know going forward that the history books shouldn't paint this entire program as a bad one. And let me explain why. Because you might be saying, look, but Nintendo is the most draconian. They're the worst. Here's the thing, though, guys. Look at any other game company's Let's Play or general gaming monetization policy, and there's a good chance that they don't even have one. So when it comes to a company like Konami, I would love to play some older Yu-Gi-Oh games. I still have some on the Game Boy Advance. I have Yu-Gi-Oh on the PS1. I don't have Duelist of the Roses, but I might be happier because of it. I want to get the one on the GameCube. I've always wanted to play that one. I think someone in a Those Guys Play Friends group has one, so I might steal it from them. The point, though, is that I want to play those games, but I don't have anyone to contact at Konami. Now, you could say, well, if your channel was monetized, you could probably just put it up and maybe see what happens. You could, if you were part of an MCN, they could probably deal with that, which is true. But I'm not part of an NCN. I'm not big enough to have that. And if I was big enough, that I probably would feel like certain MCNs don't really do much for you either way. So I would want to play these games and be able to have ad revenue on it. But who do I contact? And I'm being serious here. Who do I contact? So a while ago, there was a monetization list, but I mean, that's years old at this point. So is that even still like the actual, I don't know if it's been updated since, but is that really the list that we go by now in 2018 when that list was made? I'm pretty sure 2014, 2015. Or earlier. So what do we do at this point? So we have Nintendo. Yes, they were being rather strict before the Nintendo's creators program, but now during the program, I thought that they were being a lot better than other companies out there as well. And heck, if you guys know some companies that really have some, not even draconian practices, just don't even open the door to monetization on their game footage, even if it's a review. Even though that falls under fair use, yes, it hasn't been taken to a court of law yet, but a review would fall under fair use. What do you do when a company talks to YouTube and says, hey, or rather a company has registered that footage and the second it comes up, boom, it's a copyright claim? What do you do? And yes, some people have said the same things about Nintendo, but if my video was in the Nintendo Creators Program, that never happened. Now, I will say, though, I mentioned way earlier, that there was good and there was bad that I've experienced. What's the bad? So I actually made a video on this. This is one of the first ever Matt Rants that we did. My beautiful face was on camera. It was a terrible camera angle, but my face was beautiful nonetheless. So I did a Matt Rants on this. And it was about, for a teaching tutorials episode, I wanted to do, I remember, it was the teaching tutorials episode. I was showing you guys how to clean a Super Nintendo cartridge. Definitely go check that one out if you don't know how. And I was cleaning Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island. So I took video of it on my camera, though, because I wanted to show you guys, hey, this is legit. This isn't being put through a capture card. This is a game that sometimes has issues on my original Super Nintendo, but I cleaned it. It looks great. You see, it's working just fine. So I had that video in the video, but I think because it was turned or something like that, like it wasn't a full-on shot because I was holding the camera in my hand because I went from the Super Nintendo, turned it on right up to the footage. Perhaps the algorithm couldn't actually detect that it was Yoshi's Island footage, despite the fact that I said it was Yoshi's Island footage. I had the freaking picture of the game in the thumbnail and in the title of the video, but that's the only video that I've ever had problems with. And I don't know if that's one that's been seen a lot of times, but still, it is the only video that I had problems with. However, it was a video to talk about, and that's why I made the Matt Rants. I was like, hey, look, here are the positives and the negatives. So I made that one long ago that I think this one is also valid to have that in and out. And of course, things have changed over time as well, because I don't think streaming was an issue when I did that Matt Rants. But still, while there are negatives, no doubt, I do think that the positives did outweigh the negatives, at least when you take streaming out of the equation. When you bring streaming into the equation, that is the future, in my opinion. Not that we're going to stop having pre-recorded videos either on YouTube. I mean, heck, even Twitch has some pre-recorded options now. So I'm not saying that pre-recorded is going to go away, but streaming is the landscape now, and it is the future. So yes, it was extremely frustrating that the NCP didn't take that into account, but here's what they could have done. They could have taken it into account. They could have actually said, you know what, hey, if your live streams are either cut up, or even if you're doing this live, as long as you adhere to this code of conduct or something like that, they could have taken ad revenue for it. They could have changed things up a little bit in their NCP program, or in the NCP itself. That NCP program, RIP in peace. But still, with the program, they could have done something better rather than remove it completely. But again, I said earlier this was going to be a controversial opinion. I know that many people out there are extremely excited, feel as if they've been wronged by the system, and frankly, they might have been. I was only wronged once. Some of you guys may have been wronged a lot of times, and again, I sympathize with you, I empathize with you. I'm not going to sit here and say that your feelings don't matter. I just want to make sure to give my story as well, because like I said earlier, I want the history books to know that this wasn't 100% a bad idea. So guys, as we're wrapping this video up, I want to say, what do you guys have to say about this? Do you think this is a great decision by Nintendo? Do you think it's a bad decision by Nintendo? Do you think that, yes, we should build upon the system, or that, no, we should tear it down completely? Were you wronged by the system? Were you wronged by this Nintendo's Creator Program? Or were you, like me, paid little increments here and there, even when YouTube didn't pay out with Google AdSense and things like that? Also would like to hear your stories, maybe some horror stories, things like that. If you were affected and you're a streamer, please talk to me about that as well. I want to hear what you guys have to say about this, because I don't want it to just be me talking into a void about this, because if it does, then it makes it seem like I'm right and no one else is wrong, despite the fact that we have a bunch of different stories about people being wronged in this, with this Nintendo Creators Program and by Nintendo itself. Some were also saying that this was because they mentioned transformative works is probably, and they also mentioned, by the way, Nintendo in a separate Q&A thing mentioned that, oh, this is you can only have games that are released. Does that mean that betas? Do you think that betas will be affected by this? Beta Let's Plays and beta reviews. Heck, we still have to play that Pokemon and Pokemon Silver and Gold beta. Will that be affected? Although Game Freak is involved there, so that'll probably be a whole other thing as well. But other betas, let's say, like a Donkey Kong Country one, if that's out, will that be an issue? Oh, that's a rare thing. Damn it, I'm choosing the wrong ones. Super Mario World beta, would that be an issue? Super Mario 64 beta. Also, would hacks be an issue as well? Also, what I mentioned before, this being a reaction to something, this was probably a reaction to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Do you think that? Do you not think that? With the leaks that I also did a Matt Rants on as well. Maybe some of those people posting soundtracks on YouTube got Nintendo to sit there, and at least they were probably, it's not like that led to this being destroyed, but as they're tearing this down, they're like, oh, let's just add a small provision in transformative works. Just writing it down really hard. And also, a game has to be released. Mexico. Like, I don't know if they were thinking about that in particular, but yeah, so again, tell me what you guys have to say about all of that stuff down below. If you like the video, please remember to like and subscribe. If you don't like the video, you can still like and subscribe either way. Thank you all so much, love you all, and take care, and tune in next time for another episode of Matt Rants, or something completely different. We release a bunch of different stuff on this channel. You can check out all that stuff and more here at Those Guys Play. Thank you all so much, love you all, take care, and tune in next time. See ya.